Just before coming here today, I had my main meal of the day, and I saw my dog observing me, and she had her head down, and she was displaying all of the characteristics of an abused and neglected dog. She was quite distraught, and I did spend some time thinking whether she's putting it on so she gets some of my dinner, or if she's genuinely heartbroken at the fact that she doesn't get to eat my dinner as well as her own. And I do think that she was actually very upset. I don't think she's a very good actor. I don't think she hides anything, and I think that's why she's generally quite upset, and made me realise about the four qualities of that we should foster in our everyday life. Usually I go from the top down, but I thought with my dog being displaying a distinct lack of the fourth one, I'll start with that, because it's quite tricky, and often if I've been talking for a few minutes, by the time I get to the last one, my brain doesn't work very well, and I'm not very good at describing it, and it is quite hard to describe. And the fourth characteristic is the Pali word is upekkha, which means equanimity. And I struggled with understanding the purpose of equanimity, because all of the other qualities, it's about love and compassion and understanding, and equanimity just seemed cold, like non-reactive, and I really did struggle with that. Like, what's the purpose? Like, if there's something that's abhorrent in the world, surely it's right to be angry about it. And I was barking up the wrong tree for years, not really understanding it, but looking at my dog, and I could just with her head down and whining, I realised that she'd be a lot happier if she had more balance of her mind, that she'd be able to reflect and remember that she usually gets a little bit of my dinner at the end, and she gets her own old meal, but she was so caught up in the moment of watching me eat food that she might have thought that was rightfully hers, and she would have been so much happier if she had that capacity to reflect. And I struggle to have that capacity to reflect. I'm not saying I'm any better than my dog, but it's something that we should try and foster, and rather than reacting blindly, we can observe something and take in the whole picture, and not get so carried away, and that's one good thing about meditation. It does sort of teach us to be balanced. I remember there was a period where I was in a meditation retreat, and it was quite a long sit for a number of hours, and I became very drowsy, and I was struggling to stay awake, and then I became very agitated. I was like, well, and I realised if I was so tired, why am I almost bouncing off the cushion? And then I went back to being tired, and then I went back to being agitated, and I realised that this feeling of wanting to fall asleep and this feeling of wanting to jump off the cushion was got nothing to do with my energy levels, because each were coming and going. I was drowsy for 10 minutes and agitated for 10 minutes and back, and I could see it was my mind trying to try anything to get me out of sitting for so long. and after that, I could see that same sort of craziness in my brain with other things, like especially in meditation retreats, you often only eat one meal a day. So when it's your turn in the queue and you're 3 back from the food, and you're waiting, you're almost vibrating with excitement, and then you're seeing there's like 4 people but 3 bits of chicken, and then you're like, oh, hopefully this person in front doesn't like chicken because I do, and I'm not saying I worked it out straight away. I might have, it must have been 50 times, maybe even 100 times, where I've been eyeballing that bit of chicken, and I've been so happy when I've got that bit of chicken or whatever it is, and then so distraught when that horrible person took that bit of chicken away from me, and I realised I was so caught up in it, and I can't even remember every bit of chicken I've eaten, and then you realise how silly it is to get so caught up in I don't know, wanting bits of chicken or whatever it is, and whatever it is, it's just as trivial as having that bit of food, and for me, just that ability to laugh at yourself, like, leads to and I don't want to use the word growth because it sounds like we're achieving things, but it leads to us not being that daft in future, and being less daft is a happier existence, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. I'm not trying to achieve states of consciousness where I'm better than other people, or better than who I used to be, or I've got this wisdom or something. My wisdom is trying to be less daft, and seeing and realising the things I get caught up in, and we can look back when we were 15, and we were begging our mum for the trainers with lights in that would make us run faster, and that was 90% of our world, that the thought of these trainers with lights in, and or whatever it is. Like, we can get caught up in so many things, and looking back, it's we can see how we were so caught up with things, worrying about if we looked right to other people, if we said the right thing or did the right thing, if we were tall enough or thin enough or fat enough, or our feet were the correct shape, if people might have got worries about the shape of their feet or anything, or the worries about their, I don't know, and people say, oh, my face, I wish I was beautiful, and they focus on their face, and I say, oh, what about your elbows? And they say, well, they're unimportant. Most people don't notice elbows. There's no such thing as an attractive elbow or an unattractive elbow, but it's just as arbitrary as an attractive nose or an unattractive nose. But for some reason, some people worry more about their nose than their elbow, and framing it like that makes it sound so much more trivial. And realising the triviality of life, and passing that out and seeing what actually matters, that's I think is wisdom, being able to separate the trivial from the important in real time. It's easy to look back and think 5 years ago I was such a prat, but I'm so much better now. But once we realise that I was very bad then, and I'm somewhere in the middle now, and acknowledging that you're not quite there, and you're not perfect, and you're probably still a bit daft, and you're probably still a bit of a prat, but you're less than you were, and that's good enough. And that to me is my way of understanding my journey of Buddhism. And it sounds a lot, I don't know, better than grand statements of saying I'm not going to get off this chair until I'm enlightened, or something like that, or I don't know, feeling you're better because you've shaved your eyebrows off, or something like that. It's shaving your eyebrows off and becoming a monk isn't daft, but thinking that shaving your eyebrows off and becoming a monk will make you happier, or better at meditating, or enlightened, or nicer, or anything, that's daft, because the robes don't change who you are. or anything. So, but yeah, that's my view on, that's my take of Buddhism, my understanding of it. Hopefully that's not such a weird introduction. But yeah, that's how I frame it, and we all need to have our own way of understanding our own path, and yeah, for other people it might look different, and that's equal. So that's just my way of understanding it, and hopefully my way of understanding, explaining it, has helped other people understand their own way of doing it. So yeah, Anna Mognar Sadhu, thank you very much.